We're also learning more details about a man who was struck by lightning climbing Torreys Peak. Agencies helped bring him and his friend down the mountain to get them to urgent emergency care on late Thursday night. Your reporter in the mountain, Spencer Wilson, is digging into this for us tonight. So, Spencer, you talked with a crew member who went up to help those two men.
Yeah, and he let me know that those two men actually called from a spot where a lot of people run into some trouble. So it was a fairly standard call from that point. But what happened afterwards was not normal.
And all of a sudden, the radio came back to life, and we heard one of our mission leaders in a very calm voice say, "Yep, just talked to our two subjects. They're on the summit, but unfortunately, the situation has changed quite dramatically."
Jake Smith of Alpine Rescue Team was one of the people who was tapped to start after the two men who had made it most of the way up Torreys Peak, a mountain summit that tops out over 14,000 feet. It would take crews hours to help find them as they were lost, so the rescue team told them to summit the mountain and they could get help from there as a storm rolled in.
They were talking about, it's super windy up here, we're kind of stuck in hail, we're going to start descending, and then the next thing you heard was this super loud commotion, the phone dropped, and just screaming. After a few more seconds, somebody came back on the line, had said, "We've been hit by lightning, my partner's down, he's not responsive, he's foaming at the mouth. Do I start CPR? What do I do?"
Normally, rescue crews could call in a helicopter for this.
And so Lifeguard 1 out of St. Anthony's wasn't able to fly, and Lifeguard 2 out of Frisco was also unable to fly. So at that stage, we were just thinking, we're going to have to get ground teams in there as quickly as we can.
Thankfully, the National Guard had a helicopter they could fly into that turbulent situation. And so these two men were able to be rescued from the very top of one of our tallest mountains.
In the state of Colorado, have had many rescues where we've had military helicopters land on the top of 14ers. But for them to actually hoist a subject above that 14er and raise them up on the cable, we're fairly confident that this is the highest in the state's history.
Now, it's a harsh lesson for all of us. Plan ahead, know the risks here, and know that timing is everything on a mountain. Summit early and get down early.
Now, a lot of our hiking community already knows that. Summit early, get down early. But an interesting fact that Alpine Rescue Team passed along was that it really varies on each mountain whether or not you're going to get a visual cue for that storm coming. Yes, it's likely going to come around 2 or 3 p.m. as we all know. But whether or not you're actually going to see that until you summit, like on Torreys, where you may not see that storm coming until you're standing on top of the mountain, it gives you a clue you need to get down fast. Something to consider before you take on one of those 14ers. Live in the high country, Spencer Wilson, covering Colorado First.
Excellent advice, Spencer. Thank you so much for that. Spencer Wilson is your reporter in the mountains. If you have a story idea for him, you can get in touch or you can email him. That email is yourreporter@cbs.com, or you can call our tip line.